Welcome to the Own Your Best Life podcast. I'm May Emson, your host, leadership and mindset coach. Here, we talk all things spiritual, mindset, business, leadership, and wellness for the modern seeker who wants to align their life with purpose and inspiration. We'll cover career changes, stress management, meditation, energy, intuition, and more. Each episode holds spiritual and practical tools to help you live a life of your wildest dreams without getting burnt out along the way. Ready to live a life on your own terms? This is the Own Your Best Life podcast. Welcome, friends, to episode number 163 of the Own Your Best Life podcast. So this week, I'm going to share with you a bit of the backstory around my own experiences with retreats and how they've influenced and shaped my life. I have actually found them to be life-changing. And for someone who also likes to travel, they have also been this great balance between going on a trip and making time even more meaningful when I'm there. So if you're curious about retreats, you're going on one with me, you're thinking about it, and you're wondering why I've included them in my coaching work, you will learn about why I started going on retreats, how it's incorporated into the coaching, and why the next retreat, which is coming up, my friends, so get on in, is going to be in Phoenicia, New York. I remember the first retreat I went on was before I had kids. It was in Tulum, Mexico. I was going with a friend, and we were both in business school at the time. And while everyone else went to party in Playa del Carmen, we were doing yoga, drinking green juices, and working out. And I couldn't believe that this was the best of all the things that I wanted combined for 3 days straight. Moving, eating, being in nature. And I remember loving it so much that I wanted to tell all of my friends, which I did. But it took a few years to get them to go. And in that time period, I became pregnant. And I remember flying across the country. I was working in consulting at the time, thinking to myself, looking out the window, that I wanted so desperately for a retreat kind of experience where I could just go away, unplug, and really think about how to incorporate the kid with the work thing. I had such an intense job that I wasn't sure how I could fit in another human being into my life. So fast forward a year or so later, I went back to that retreat with a couple of friends, and it was after my first child was born. And I remember during that retreat, that feeling of being there and of time expanding. We flew in from snowy New York City, and we were waiting for dinner that first night, thinking we had 30 minutes to just burn as we were waiting. And as we were talking, we thought 20 minutes had gone by easily. We looked at our watches, and it hadn't even been 5 minutes. And so I realized then the deep work that happens when we can actually disconnect. We have so much more time than we realize and so much more energy to tap into, but we rarely get time to do it in our busy lives. And that was also the beginning of a lot that was going to come. I remember hearing in the last meditation on the last day I was there, the word surrender. I didn't know what it meant at that time, but it was a sign of all these things that were to come. And sometimes intuition kicks in and we don't understand it in the moment. We don't know why we're pulled towards something, the way I was pulled towards a retreat, the way I was hearing certain signs or words. But in hindsight, it is so clear. So the surrender that had popped into my mind that I saw during that last meditation at that retreat in Tulum was a sign of all these career changes and all of these life events that were going to be occurring. I had already started realizing that something needed to change. I wasn't truly engaged in my work. I didn't know how to stop burning out or how to actually make some of the big changes that I want to make. I had created lots of options for myself because of the kind of work that I did, but I realized, what were all the options for? What was I actually going to do with it? And it felt like I had a lot to lose when I thought about jobs that were less intense. What about my MBA? What about my management consulting experience? What would I lose in the process of trying to make these changes? And it took another close encounter with death, this time, my third one. So I realized that time was of the essence. I wasn't utilizing my gifts, and I didn't even know what my gifts were. I now had two kids, and I felt like I was hiding out from life because every time I would engage with these bigger jobs and bigger work, I felt like I would burn out. And in the process, I realized through the work that I coach people on now that coaching was my calling and that I was to take all the lessons from burnout, from stress management to living a healthy life within our bodies and healthy relationships in our lives, that this was my work. How to actually have the life you want, to succeed on your own terms, to have the job and the health and the wealth, and to not give up on this idea that you can have success because you don't want it to come at a cost to your health or your relationships. And so this is what I call spiritual achiever coaching. And this is why I take people away on retreats where they can actually make these bigger decisions in their life and be able then to have coaching beforehand and to follow up to help them see how they can make their minds work for them to actually move forward in those decisions and through the obstacles that inevitably come up. And along the way, what I discovered was these immersive experiences create the time and space where you can truly go deep, where you can get out of your own head and you can start listening to what you really want and to learn who you are, what the best next step is for you, and how to make that move. So one of the first places I went to when I started crafting my work around career changes was Phoenicia. I remember crafting the components of the Career Revelation Academy course that I was creating in Joshua Tree and finishing it up in Phoenicia, going on hikes with my husband and discussing some of the components that a lot of people benefit from today. And it was one of our first trips together, just the two of us after kids. I couldn't believe how special this place was, how off the grid it actually felt. There was no cell phone access in many places, which was actually kind of surprising to me because there's very few places now in our culture and society here where you don't have access to cell phone and you don't necessarily have the ability to just tap into that outside world. And it was also close to New York City, but it also felt far away. And during the pandemic, we actually went there for Father's Day weekend. We took the kids, and it was a place where they could also drop back in to a place outside of all the screens and come back to just being kids. And so when I started thinking about a New York-based retreat, it was very clear that Phoenicia was going to be the place, and the Catskills in particular have this magic quality of being this kind of Hudson Valley place where you can find all sorts of kinds of nature and wildlife. And to be able to have that so close to New York City, yet feel so far away was really special. And one of the things that I love the most is this idea that when you are able to be away and truly away without family, as much as we love them, without our everyday people and friends, you're able to go to another place where you decide what you want to do, how you want to do it. So everything from your day-to-day experience at the retreat to actually thinking about what you want next and how you want to start creating that next chapter of your life, whether you're in transition or you're riding out a transition, it is the place when you're on a retreat to make some of the biggest decisions that will help carry you for the rest of the year. And so what I'm going to do is guide people through the 4 aspects of spiritual achievement, which is spirituality, achievement, earth energy, and harmony. When we think about it, it encompasses the whole wheel of our life the relationships we have, our mind and our body, the career, and then why we are here and our purpose and what do we want to do with our time here. And so if you feel pulled, if you feel drawn to this work, to the coaching experience, to the retreat themselves, reach out, let me know. We would love to have you and see you there. You can go to www.mayamson.com/contact to learn more, get the details. We'll set up a consultation, figure out what it is you want most and how to get there the fastest and most sustainably. This is your year, my friends. Do not wait, do not delay. It is time, and I cannot wait to help you see what is available when you're able to master your emotions, your mind, your body, and your spirit. I'll see you there. Thanks so much for joining us this week on Own Your Best Life. Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts so that you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, can you please rate and review on iTunes? I would so appreciate it. Share it with a friend, take a screenshot of it, and tag @MayEmson. This helps continue to get the word out. For more show notes and resources, check out www.mayemson.com. It'll have all the links to everything you heard here today. Thanks so much for listening. It's time to own your best life.